Call this an unendorsement. An editorial, today's New York Times, says Hillary Clinton is mostly to blame for the negativity in the Democratic race. This is the same newspaper that endorsed her. Titled The Low Road to Victory, the Times editorial argues that voters are getting tired of this competition, which is increasingly mean, desperate, and filled with pandering. They call on Clinton to acknowledge the negativity, which is hurting her, Barack Obama, the Democratic Party, and the entire 2008 election, and may also be part of the reason why she didn't win Pennsylvania by as large a margin as she could have. The Times goes on to point out that on the eve of the primary, Hillary Clinton became the first Democrat to play the fear card and, quote, wave the bloody shirt of 9/11, unquote. Clinton aired a TV spot that evoked Osama bin Laden, Pearl Harbor, the Cuban Missile Crisis, the 1929 stock market crash, measles. It was an ad described as being torn right out of Karl Rove's playbook. The Times writes if Clinton has any hope of winning over undecided superdelegates, not to mention the voters, she, quote, has to call off the dogs, unquote. Exit polls from Pennsylvania suggest there's something to this. People say they're getting tired of the tone of the campaign, and they think Clinton bears more responsibility for that, with 2/3 of Pennsylvania voters saying she went too far in her attacks. So here's the question. The New York Times blames Hillary Clinton for most of the negativity in the Democratic race. Do you agree? Go to CNN.com/Cafferty file and post a comment on my blog. The New York Times, which endorsed Hillary Clinton, today blames her for most of the negativity in the Democratic race. We asked if you agree with that assessment. Chris, in Indiana, Syracuse, Indiana, there's no question she's gone too negative. It's the only thing she has left. Her ego has gotten the best of her. She's put herself above the party, the country, and the American people. Here in Indiana, we don't care too much for dirty politics and politicians who will say and do anything to get elected. Her campaign ends in Indiana, guaranteed. Jay in New Hampshire, that's ridiculous. Hillary didn't make Obama sit in a church and listen to Reverend Wright for 20 years. She didn't make him sit on a board with an unrepentant terrorist. She didn't make him utter the bitter comments, and she didn't make him stammer through the last debate. As far as playing the fear card, if you're watching that ad and you're confident that Obama's not the right man for the job, then don't vote for him. If you think he is the right man, then it's not a negative attack. It's just an ad. Scott says, I blame the media, here we go again, for being so negative in this campaign. They've been relentless in their attacks on Clinton and have blown out of proportion what few attacks the candidates have made against each other. Stop trying to create the news and just report it. Steve, the New York Times is being ridiculous. This year's Democratic primaries have actually been much less negative than past primaries. Nevertheless, Senator Clinton has only been pointing out differences between herself and Senator Obama. Mary in Pennsylvania, as a Pennsylvania voter who just received tons of phone calls from both camps, I can say the majority of the ones I got from the Clinton camp were negative. None of the ones from Obama were. Both Clintons have jumped on every chance possible to make this race negative, while Obama's tried to stay above the fray. And Richard writes, I do blame Hillary Clinton for the negativity in this campaign. What surprises me most is that so many voters can't see through the smoke and the mirrors. If you didn't see your email here, you can go to my blog at cnn.com/Cafferty file.